Sorry about that, folks. Got carried away in a... Just to get that bounce off my head. Oh, hang on, what's going on? Trying to fix up my cameras. That should be on. Get the bounce off my head. Was I standing too close? Yeah, standing too close. Anyway, let me try that again. Welcome to startbuilding.me, my daily concept that training every day is essential, just like brushing your teeth, going to sleep, eating food, going to the bathroom, and other hygiene. You just can't cut corners, folks. You have to train every day, but as I always say, you can do the bare minimum. And the bare minimum is pretty much what I've done today. I've played some golf, so I got a lot of sun again, but you know, I walked the dogs for 6 kilometers. I walked around to and from different places to do my chores. And again, get the blood pumping, increase your blood pressure a little bit, and let yourself chill out. That rise and fall is what we're practicing, that duality, binary logic, sinusoidal waves, you know, it's circular, happy, all good things. If you've ever seen the movie Happy Gilmore, he's 100% right with that. So basically that is the aim of the game, is to train daily, form a healthy habit meaning a habit that you enjoy and not something that you dread, and not something where you're paying someone to force you to go to the gym because you think it's going to make you healthy. That's a terrible way, or you're setting yourself up for failure, basically. So what I'm trying to inspire people to do is think of it as something that should be enjoyable, going outside, getting some sun, listening to a podcast, walking around the block, instead of sitting at home doing nothing, right? And so I really want to drum that into people as much as I can, is that if you think short and sweet, get the blood pumping, go and have a beer, go and have dinner, you know, go and walk your dog, go hang out with your family, whatever it is that you're going to do afterwards will feel better just after you've done some exercise. It's a simple reward-based system, folks, and that's how humans have evolved. Evening, Jazz, as always, good to see you. We are far more motivated with some sort of outcome, and that's something that it's no different with exercise. So if you train daily, you'll monitor your performance over time. So every day you'll get a little bit better, the more consistent you are with your training. And over time, this snowballs, just like a character in a video game. Like I always use an example, League of Legends, World of Warcraft, Counter-Strike, Fortnite, whatever it is you play, the more you play it, the better kit you get, the better agility you'll have, the better like mouse coordination or controller coordination you'll get. So why not do that with yourself, right? Why not improve the character that is, you know, operate, you know, your brain and the thing that keeps you alive? Like it's really easy to do, but everybody has that wrong frame of mind to start with, like, oh, I've got to exercise, instead of, hey, sweet, I'm going to improve my life in every single conceivable way, and we can do 10 or 15 minutes and call it quits. So without further ado, one that I always start with are a few squats. I'll stand a bit wider to make my back, maybe I'll try and be a form stickler for once. Out with my weight going to the outside of my feet. We have arches, folks. Think about how the Model 101 or T800s walk when they walk. Or the 101s, the ones that you see when it's in the future in Terminator. They've always got the metal feet, and they're not landing on their heels, they're landing sort of with their feet on the arches of it to keep them upright, right? So it's like they're pretty primitive. They don't have any flesh in that sense, but they've got that structure, and they're walking around on what would be the equivalent of their toes, the pad, and the heel. So always think about that as a thing over time. The mindfulness is that you have the weight going to the outside of your feet, sitting back. I'll have a wide stance to try and keep my back a bit straighter. There you go. Feels terrible, but so does my back. And like I said, I've crippled myself over the decades I've been on this planet, and that's why I'm here to try and stop you to do the same thing. So let's crank a few out. all that weight going to the outside of your feet, folks, not to the inside of your feet. And you don't have to do reps like I am doing. I'm just trying to have a quick warm up so I don't seize up, my dust collecting old body doesn't get destroyed. So that's the plan. I'll put my functional training, I'll set this up to relay my heart rate to you. And then it goes up, and then it falls, and it goes up, and it falls. When it goes up, your heart's pumping more blood and needs to reoxygenate that blood, so you start breathing more. It's the essence of cardiovascular exercise. And that's the foundation of strength, folks. Improving your cardiovascular strength is where it all begins. Do that at the same time as working your grip strength, like the message just popped up. Grip strength is the most important strength after cardiovascular strength. I figured I'd have that up here every day. I'm going to have some of my slogans up here that I'm rattling off to people for the last 2 years, because I think it really helps. You know, I'm learning, I haven't played golf in like 15 years, 10 years maybe. And when you get back to it, it's quite a simple concept, right? You're swinging a ball to hit, swinging a ball. I've had too much sun today, folks, so just bear with me. You don't think so, what? It's a hard way for me to reference what you're talking about. Any follow-up there? Tob turn? No? Just ambiguous statements out in the ether? Can't really work with that, mate. So again, sitting back into your heels, the weight goes out to counter your, so when you're sitting back into your heels, you lean forward. And obviously you don't speak English. Okay, keep it going, Jazz. And my heart rate's up to 110 as it is, a couple more. One, we're sitting back. There you go, try to keep a more neutral spine position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Trying to breathe. It's keeping my heart rate at about 110 BPM, which is a warm-up position that you want to have is roughly 120 to 140 BPM. So 120 suffices, but between 140 is ultimately what you're after, right, folks? Whilst you're having a break, if you find your quads are getting a bit stiff or your lower back's getting sore, that's why they have sets in exercise, folks. So you want to just step back, take a breather, relax. Don't focus on the numbers, don't focus on the sets. Just focus on the fact that you're here already and you're doing a bit of exercise, and whatever is coming after this in 10 or 15 minutes, going to bed, starting work, going to school, studying, doing martial arts training, maybe, I don't know, whatever it is. That is awesome. I am the man, thank you. And coming from you, that actually means something. Queenstown, jealous as, mate. What is it? No, you're not going to be skiing there, are you? Queenstown is amazing. I would ditch my citizenship here and go and live in Queenstown any day of the year. They have to drag me kicking and screaming out of that place when I go. Anyway, I'll keep it going. I can train and talk. This is crazy. It's always cool who drops in here now. It's always impressive to see. I hope you watched. Did you see the last Usyk fight? That was about what I expected. Is there any recovery for AJ after this? I hope not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wider stance again, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Heart rate sitting at a pretty comfortable 110, which is good for me. Awesome. Yeah, mate, get to it, but awesome that people drops in. It's funny, you come across everyone, they're just like, this keeps on popping up on my feed. And he's never going to stop. You know, it's me. I never stop talking. I'm never going to stop bombarding people on the internet about this because I'm sick to death of watching, looking at healthcare data that says sedentary lifestyle and overconsumption is costing taxpayers 60% of the healthcare budget. Now, you know, I don't care, whatever. It's better spend it on there than a war, but nonetheless, it's a lot of money to spend on a preventable thing. So that's my agenda, but also just trying to get people involved and fit and healthy. Also been playing golf. Thanks for the tip. I didn't waste a whole bunch of money on clubs. I've just been going to the driving range to practice again since I haven't played a game in 10 years, like I said, maybe, whilst doing business in Korea, Singapore, Japan, of course. And now with the Doppler effect radars that the driving range have, you can hook up to an app and see your shots and see if you're improving and stuff. It's awesome, and this is just Townsville. I'd love to see what you guys have in Sydney, but it's been good fun, so I'll keep it up, try and make it less embarrassing, and come for a game if you and Marek still play. I just built a bubble cleaner, that's why I'm late. Yes, mate, surfing I always thought was a harder sport, along with jiu-jitsu and martial arts and boxing. But all those dudes like Jordan plays golf, Kelly Slater plays golf, all these weapons play golf. And when you play it, you're just like, it's easily one of the hardest games out there because it's just, there's so many variables out there, it's insane, but it's good fun. Unfortunately, it hasn't really helped my back, which is something that I've always had problems with from boxing, so no drama, but yeah. Thanks for that. I was going to spend a whole bunch on clubs, and then I told the guy at the pro shop what you said, and he's like, yeah, mate, that's pretty much true. He's like, unless you're sponsored by these people, don't bother. It's not going to make a difference. After I played a few practice shots on the Doppler thing inside the golf shop, he's like, yeah, I'd probably save your money, mate. I've heard that gentlemen's only, ladies forbidden. This is the thing, people say that's not why it's called that now, but it probably was, and they're just in denial and don't want any backlash about it. Because I mean, you know, when did golf start, like modern golf, like 200 years ago? Now, we've come a long way since then, folks. We've become a lot more tolerant to pretty much everything, and like I'm saying to people who are like, we demand to be treated better now. It's like, yeah, get in line. There's a few people waiting for that. Catch your digs, good to see you, man. Come back at some stage and enjoy your trip. Love to jazz. And we'll keep on doing some more squats and prophesizing about whether it was just a bunch of misogynistic old white men who called it golf. Probably yes. Let's face it, there's no doubt about it. I'm just going to squat it out today, just talking about going to the driving range. My shoulders, my back doesn't feel so good, so let's just hit the bread and butter and keep it pumping. Grip strength is the most important. Yes, I'm brainwashing not only people who watch the stream, but myself. Grip strength is the most important strength. Questions are decadent. Like Krusty's sweatshop camp. Fast hands mean less whipping. Do a few neck rolls, folks. And crackety crack. My dog's losing it. Somebody's coming at the door trying to invade the fort. They're not going to get past Killer Keith though. Many have tried, many have failed. So don't forget, folks, my heart rate's still creeping up. I'm staying level 115 BPM, which is, again, just some feedback data. If you don't have an Apple Watch, doesn't matter. You can get Fitbits and really cheap heart rate monitors. They are pretty handy as a cheap tool. Again, I've got no hat, hat in the fight, or whatever they say, hat in the ring, or whatever the expression is. Certainly not a corporate shill, but a lot of these things that have feedback, especially for heart rate, are really good motivators because you can just see it's like, oh, I'm just walking up into the pub or up into the supermarket. to buy chips and Coca-Cola, like something unhealthy. But you'll see your heart rate going up and you're just like, huh, sweet. And if you just do that every day that you go into a shop or whatnot, ride in to and from work, or walk into the train station, and you're just seeing your heart rate getting up, congratulations, folks, you're exercising. And that's all that I'm trying to get people to realize is you don't have to go and start some sport or become a power lifter or Olympian or some garbage like that, but you should see the fun of just getting your blood pumping, getting outside, getting your muscles flexing and extending. And like I said, it's not even worth me standing. As much as I love the sound of my own voice and talking, it's not worth me sitting here and rattling off the fact, or the multiple facts about why exercise is important. And as I've said before, I've had terrible sleep routines, terrible diet, was a chronic alcoholic for a long time whilst working corporate jobs. You can get away with almost murder as long as you're exercising. Pumping, keeping your heart pumping over, drinking a bit of water, and, cleansing that system. It's just like, if you have an engine, a diesel or a petrol engine, and you just leave it sitting there with engine oil in there and it's not turning over, it will kind of preserve it. You're not going to get any rust in the engine, and it's not going to degrade, a magnesium or aluminium case, but over time, it's not going to be as good as if just mildly using the engine. And I'm not talking about flat out redlining it like a Formula One car. That's why endurance athletes drop dead before they're 40. But just slow and steady wins the race. There's a little wisdom in that old, tale, the hare and the tortoise. And just also to emphasize, forgetting my job whilst getting sidetracked by talking, as always, when you're squatting, as I say, the weight's going to the outside of your feet because you've got arches in your feet. So the reason that you're sitting doing that, it's like when you see a surfer, sitting back into your heels and making sure that your knees aren't, I'll try and line this up properly. My feet are lined up. So your knees don't do sort of like that or twist. Go in like that. Or if one foot's further ahead than the other, when you start squatting, you'll start to twist a little bit as well, which does damage. Now, like I've always said, I'm trying to just get people out for the neuroplasticity adjustment, or the feel-good factor of saying, hey, I've done a training session tonight, whatever that duration is. And the duration is logged here on the chatbot that's going nuts, and I have prizes, folks, so more time and more points. Send me a message, info, or Dave at startbuilding.me, startbuilding.me Twitter. If you go to startbuilding.me, you can see all the different social medias and say, hey, I think people will respond to this at the end of a quarter or something like that. Hey, I'm open to all suggestions. And like I said, the system that I have is the reverse of the gym. I want to give people stuff for coming and training instead of the other way around, because it's just a dated concept. And after you've got the concept, you don't need to be here. You can use Google to see, keep building me. What do I want to do? What sport do I want to do? What interests me? Like I said, when we're looking at goals here, when I'm rattling off stuff every single night, we're just trying to find out what it is that makes you tick, folks. It doesn't have to be squats. It doesn't have to be press-ups like I would normally be doing tonight and variations of them. It can be literally anything. There are so many things that get your heart rate up, get your blood pumping, so many exercises that you will be like, I can't believe I didn't do this before. I cannot live without this, which is so many things to me. But I love walking my dogs. I love getting outside. I've got way too much sun at the moment. You can't avoid it in the tropics. But I put it to you, you will too. You just have, you're busy at work, you're busy with family, you've got kids, you've got commitments, you've got schoolwork, you've got university. I get it, I've been there. But I've never not had time for exercise. It's the greatest thing to procrastinate and say I don't have time. You've got 24 hours a day, and 15 minutes is all it takes. Now, I know people that spend 15 minutes or 30 minutes a day in the shower, right? In the shower, standing underneath hot water. I like that meme. It's like, in the shower, I spend most of the time cleaning my chest and my head, basically, you know, just standing there chilling. Like, we've got time, folks. And once you start to get a grasp on the fact that, hey, all of a sudden I've got a better outlook, more positive. My immune system's gone up. I'm losing weight. I'm digesting my food better. I'm reducing the chances of cardiovascular illness and cancer, dementia. You know, I get the bioavailability from foods really comes out if you're processing it better. Like I said, like I could just rattle off here for hours, and I don't want to keep many more minutes of the time, maybe 10 minutes more at absolute most. My heart rate's still at 109, so I'll try and pump it back up again with a few squats, try not to round my back, maybe not so wide after all. If you haven't done squats before, sit down on a chair, stand back up. Sit down on a chair, stand back up. You've done that, I guarantee it. If you're able to understand the words I'm saying, you've sat in a chair before. You know how to stand up. And as always, folks, I've rattled this off again a million times to people. We're competing against ourselves and our performance yesterday. That's it, right? Competing against yourself is so underrated, and a big problem where we get led astray in life is they're always competing with somebody else, and most of the time people are competing with people who are total frauds, right? They're like, I want to look like Kim Kardashian, and it's like, well, you better get a really good surgeon, you know what I mean? Like, you better understand what peptides and hormones you need to look like this. Or I want to play like this athlete. Pop quiz, folks, professional athletes, i.e. professionals paid to play the sport, equals drugs, folks. Now, I just want to be honest with people because people don't know this, but just because they haven't tested positive for a drug doesn't mean they're on it. They're just more sophisticated in circumventing testing, right? Some sports don't necessarily benefit from it, but you're telling me even like a tennis player who plays 5-hour Grand Slams does that on the circus, doesn't go to Panama or Costa Rica or wherever, Puerto Rico, and get stem cell injection therapies and stuff that might be at least pushing it the limits of what you can legally do for sport. And if it isn't, mate, where do you draw the line? You know what I mean? Like, oh no, you can do stem cells, but you can't do hormones. It's just like, so women can't be on birth control pills if they're training? Like, it's just nonsensical rules that have been rattled off. And like I'm saying, not to discredit the people that do compete clean, but when you've been installed by a team who has corporate sponsorships and they demand a return on their investment, it's like Lance Armstrong. Do you villainize him for doing what he did? Or would he have done that anyway due to the fact that, you know, US Post and then at some stage Deutsche Telekom, I think, sponsored him. Nike, like all these massive companies don't support losers. And if you lose, you're gone, right? Kamaru Usman, the MMA fighter, he just lost a whole bunch of his sponsorships because an undisputed champion welterweight, one of the best in the game, loses a fight to a head kick that nobody's going to survive. And you lose sponsorship, right? People will do it, whether it's acted on from their coaches, from their management, from their staff, from the organization itself or themselves is irrelevant. Long story short, and I always tell, I'm the master of the 5-minute story told in 30 minutes. You competed against yourself and your performance yesterday. No more, no less. And in the end, folks, it is the best thing that you can possibly do because it's sustainable. And trust me, as much as people think, oh, I wonder what that person's thinking about me, oh, etc., people are off on their own world living their own life. That's awesome, right? You've really got to think for yourself, folks. And, you know, as the metalhead in me says, the devil worshipping is like, or as they say, put the mask on yourself before you put it on the child in a plane. Look after yourself, folks. It's a really, really underrated thing to do, is you'll become a better person and more approachable and better in society if you're looking after yourself, folks. Don't see that as selfish, right? See it as the most important thing you could be doing in your game. Whoo! Talking and doing squats, 112 BPM. going to crank some out for a bit longer because I don't want to do any push-ups. Just want to feel it a little bit in my legs. My knees were getting a bit sore before. I jumped in my cold plunge. My cold plunge overnight went to 0.5 degrees. I couldn't stay in there for more than 7 minutes. My feet went numb. Oh man. I really, one of my friends has requested it, so I will do a video series, I might do a live stream on it, but show like stomach vacuums and all that sort of stuff that I used to do a lot of and the importance of it. It's super important to get after Start Building Me, once you sort of got the ball rolling, to keep that ball rolling when we start going from a walk to a double time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4. Once you start increasing that pace, you really want to pour in through the nose. And really get meditative and mindful on that element of breathing, because that's the failure of the novice versus the pro. The pro can manage their breathing, and if you can manage your breathing, well, people used to run after mammoths for days, right? Once you master your breathing, like in a race between horse riders and humans, the human wins. Most people don't know that, right? It's great. I mean, the longevity sitting on a horse, longer trips, can kick back, eat grass, take some breaks, and it's gonna, you're gonna be doing less wear and tear. But they have a race, an annual race, which is like marathon runners against horse riders. Every single year marathon winners win. So master your breathing, folks, master your life. It's why all that wushu Zen stuff that people get into, meditation, is all breath centric. Because once you can control your breath, you can control your anxiety, you can reduce the effects that depression has on you, you can improve your exercise. Again, I can make a million videos on it where I won't bore you to death with it, folks. So we've got another 3 minutes, just get some blood pumping again. What am I going to do tonight? I got my flight medical today approved, pending on a letter from my psychologist to make sure that I'm not going to German wings the plane, or MH17 or whatever it is. I shouldn't even joke about that. It's absolutely horrific, and it's good that they have due diligence tests. If they don't approve my class 2 medical or reapprove it, then it will save me a lot of money. So it's a win-win situation, folks. When you're spending between $400 to $600, depending on the endorsement of the craft that you're flying, per hour, and putting heaps of leaded fuel up in the atmosphere. Like, I'm doing my bit for climate change, folks. If they say, well, Dave, you're completely nuts and we don't want you flying planes anymore, I'll be like, oh, thank you. And getting shouted at by old men and flying in circles, it's not as fun as I thought it would be, folks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sitting back into your heels. Weight going to the outside of your feet. Outside. That's why you've got arches. Look up. Keep your back straight. Don't have to be a form stickler, but just really try and have that weight going to the outside of your feet. You don't want to bugger up your knees, folks. Oh, I've never had problems. Oh, that's not true. I had a bucket handle tear my meniscus 15 years ago or so, and fingers crossed it's staying good. So a big part of Start Building Me is how to, walk before you run and not destroy yourself. A lot of the things when I was young that I was going out like a bullet a gate, I'm like, I'm invincible. Kurt Cobain, man, Biggie, Tupac, I'm going to be dead by the time I'm 30 just by being a legend, Doesn't happen. As my dad once told me, only the good die young. Which is one of the coolest things my old man said. Happy birthday to Stu, it's his birthday today. I better give him a call, actually. I sent him a message this morning. It's another thing that I'm going to do. So, hey, I answered my question. That's what I'm going to do, folks. I'm going to go call up my dad for his birthday. Love you, Jazz. You're kicking ass and you're tally as always. If your t-shirt doesn't get there tomorrow, it'll probably get there next week. I'll check it out. But have a great night, and thanks for tuning in. And yeah, I'll let him know. And have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.